the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit.
Hey everybody. I apologize in advance if a train goes by. You may hear it in the background. I live kind of close to the train tracks, so unfortunately there's nothing I can do about that. I wanted to make this video about C.E.R.N and its possible role in the prophecy in Revelation 9, 1-2. Most people aren't even aware of C.E.R.N or what's going on there. People in the truth community, this is probably old news, but for the average person, they've probably never heard of it, so I'll tell you a little bit about C.E.R.N. It's a company in Switzerland, not far from Geneva, that takes up about a 17-mile radius, as you can see here. Located there, about 300 feet underground, is the world's biggest Large Hadron Collider, or the LHC. The LHC forces proton particles to collide at near the speed of light. The purpose of this device is to examine particles in their initial state. They set out to find the God particle that holds all matter together. And they hope to recreate the Big Bang and do things like create mini black holes to make time travel possible and open up other dimensions. What does this have to do with Revelation 9? Well, some think that the LHC is the key to open the abyss. This may all sound like some crazy conspiracy theory, but look at this quote from the director of C.E.R.N. He said, "Something may come through dimensional doors at LHC." In Revelation 9:11, it says, "They had as king over them the angel of the abyss, whose name in Greek is Abaddon, and in Greek is Apollyon, that is, destroyer." Who is Apollyon? Well, in Greek mythology, there was a Greek god named Apollo. And as crazy as these ancient Greek myths sound, there may be some pieces of truth in the stories. Apollo was a beautiful, blue-eyed, blonde-haired god, and he was also called the Destroyer, as it also says in the verse there. Among his roles was he was the bearer of light, and he was said to drive the sun across the sky. He's also the giver of pestilences and plagues. And notice the mention of locusts in the scripture. The sun and sky were darkened by the smoke from the abyss, and out of the smoke locusts came down on earth and were given power like that of scorpions of the earth. And that's Revelation 9, 2-3. There's one story where Apollo is fighting a python, and the python went and hid in a cave to get away from him. So Apollo shot fiery arrows into the cave, and the cave filled up with smoke so that the python had to come out to get away from the smoke. And notice the similarity to the verse talking about smoke coming out of the pit. "And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit." You might wonder why I said that Greek mythology may have bits of truth in it. Well, for that, we need to refer to a vague and often overlooked verse in Genesis. "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." Genesis 6:4. The King James Version calls them giants. And biblical canon left out the book of Enoch, but it greatly expands on this. And even though it's not included in the Bible, a lot of Bible scholars accept the book of Enoch as being accurate and biblically endorsed. In the book of Enoch, it tells us that 200 fallen angels came to earth and made children with the human women. And many believe that these fallen angels and their offspring were the basis for some of the gods and goddesses that made their way into Greek mythology. The children produced were called Nephilim. The combination of the human and the supernatural was something that God never intended. And because it was unnatural, the offspring didn't have the spirit of God or of man. And they're what we know as demons. There's a verse in Enoch 15:8. Now the giants who have been born of spirit and of flesh shall be called upon earth evil spirits, and on earth shall be their habitation. And as I said, that's what we know as demons. They roam the earth seeking objects and people to possess because they're disembodied spirits. Their bodies died, but their spirits still roam the earth. And God was furious with these fallen angels that committed these acts. And in the book of Enoch, it tells how they were chained in darkness. It says they were cast in the darkness in an opening in the desert, which is in Judea. I may be pronouncing that wrong. But also in 2 Peter, it says that God did not spare the angels when they sinned, but sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness. So the reason this could be related to the LHC is that these fallen angels were put in chains in a dimension other than our own. Most people would agree that hell is in a different dimension that we could never reach from here unless we died and were sent there. But the fallen angels could possibly be drawn out of this other dimension where they're being held through what they're doing at C.E.R.N. And I fully admit that this is just speculation, but it's kind of neat how it fits in with the scriptures. It's an interesting idea, and I don't claim it to be fact. It's just an idea. C.E.R.N has a website about antimatter, and a lot of people believe that the paranormal is attracted to antimatter, so they think that as C.E.R.N brings more antimatter into our realm where they can observe it, that more paranormal activity will take place and demons will be drawn to this antimatter. There's some interesting things about C.E.R.N. It was built near the old temple of Apollo, which seems like an odd coincidence. And this is a statue outside. It's the Hindu goddess Shiva, who is the destroyer. And you probably remember in the verse that Apollyon was called the destroyer. Shiva destroys the world with the intent to recreate it. And it's also an odd coincidence that C.E.R.N appears to have 666 in its logo. On the left is their logo, and then on the right you can see that those symbols look like 3 6s if you turn them around. So that seems like a pretty odd coincidence. There was a movie filmed at C.E.R.N called Symmetry, and take a look at this quote from the movie. Will you love the particle more than yourself? Will you become one with the particle? It kind of sounds like the New World Order, doesn't it? They want to bring the world together under one government, one religion, one currency. We can go even deeper into the rabbit hole. Let's say that C.E.R.N does draw these fallen angels back into our realm, and that demons are attracted to all the antimatter produced. Let's just say that happens. Well, a lot of people think that the end game would be that the government will claim that they've come in contact with aliens. And maybe why they would say this is that people who have seen demons describe them as looking like what people describe aliens to look at. So if these fallen angels and these demons are showing themselves on Earth, it would be easy for people to believe that they were aliens here from another planet that have come to help us. And this could set the stage for the Antichrist. Now, nobody knows that for sure, and I don't pretend that I know that for sure. That's just an idea that a lot of people have of what may happen. We see in 2 Thessalonians, for this reason God sends them a powerful delusion so that they will believe the lie, and so that all will be condemned who have not believed the truth, but who have delighted in wickedness. And it just makes you wonder that if something like this could happen in the end. People have always said that the end of the world was near, but never before has all the technology actually been in place where it could happen. And whether or not C.E.R.N is the key to the abyss that Revelation speaks of, it's really impressive how much the information lines up with the scriptures. And nobody knows for sure how or when Jesus will return. And I don't mean to present this as saying that I know for sure this is how it will unfold. It's just speculation from people that I've seen videos of and research that I've done. Only God knows for sure. The important thing is that the Bible repeatedly urges us to stay awake and keep watch. It's important to consider current events like this that might correlate with the scriptures so that we can always be ready. God bless you, and thank you for listening.